So good morning, and once again you are welcome to yet another one of our online lecture series. And today we are continuing from where we stopped. The last time I was with you on use of PowerPoint. So today is the second one. Is the second one in the series of the PowerPoint tips. So like I mentioned the first time, this lecture series is predicated on the fact that you already have some fundamental knowledge of how to prepare and present PowerPoint presentation. So it will not necessarily bring some introductory materials, since we're basing on the fact that you already know how to use PowerPoint. So this lecture series are actually targeted at trying to improve the quality of, try to give you some tips on how to improve the quality of your slides and your presentation techniques. So like I also mentioned the last time, one of the ways in which we can ease the preparation of our slides is to make use of templates and infographics. In one of the slides, I will show you some links to one or two locations where you can get thousands of free templates and infographics. But for starters, we're also aware that PowerPoint itself has a series of, from the newer versions of PowerPoint. I'm using 2016, but if you go on that file, if you go here, you will see all these series of templates, and you can see more of them. These are the ones that are already built in PowerPoint. So you can see series of templates and infographics. So you can choose by category. But we also show some other places in which we can get some additional templates, and so those things will ease the preparation of our slides, because we already have ready-made templates and ready-made infographics to add some bit of dynamism to our presentation. So for today we're going to look at three things. The first one is we'll look at how to get add-ins to our Microsoft PowerPoint and how to make use of those add-ins. And essentially those add-ins are applications that provide additional functionalities to our PowerPoint, as we'll see shortly. Then we'll look at using animations and transitions, so to tell our story. So essentially we're going to look at 2 or 3 tell your story use cases, and then, like I promised you last time, we're going to show how you can create quiz using PowerPoint. So one of the takeaways we'll have from that creation of the quiz is we'll also see how we can link elements in one slide with some other slides. So those are the things I will try to cover today. So we will start with, so like I also did the last time, there are some of the slides that will go into slideshow mode, but they essentially will stay more in the slide mode itself, because there are some things that we'll have to do ourselves, so it will be easier here than to be going back and forth. But if where necessary, we'll go to slide show mode. So for our add-ins, like I said, add-ins are versions that will provide additional functionalities to our PowerPoint, and so that it will ease it will ease our preparation of our slides. And sometimes even in live presentations, we don't need to be going to Google to search for something. We can, if we have some of those add-ins, we can just make use of them for as long as we have internet access. So for us to get our add-ins, we'll go to insert, and then we'll see where here is a get add-ins, and that's what we're trying to describe here with the yellow arrows. So go to get add-ins, click that, and then we'll see the series of post-add things that we functionality that we can add to our PowerPoint. So, but as we'll see in some of the instances, you'll see some of these add-ins will require that we buy, while some of them can have free versions and some will have to buy. So you will have to look out for those that you have to pay. But if it becomes very important, you can afford to pay for it. So you can either go through the whole series of add-ins, or we can go by category. So for example, if we choose education, we'll see some of those add-ins that are related to education, and for some of us, we can immediately see something like Mentimeter. We're going to show what we do with Mentimeter. So whichever one of them, we can select it and then follow the instruction on how to install. Some will require us to register, some will just install straight away. So for me, I've been able to add about 4 or 5 tools. So for example, we have the office maps, we have icon drop, we have open pixel, we even have Mentimeter and some of those other things. So we'll see, like I said, it's very important that we familiarize ourselves with the use of infographics. So, but we'll try to discuss about that in our last presentation. But one of the things I just want to point out with the infographics is in a lot of the infographics we make use of, we have icons. We have icons that are used to develop the infographics. So these icons, so that's why we use this one that we have here for our add-in is icon drop. And so icon drop enables us to be able to get some of these icons that we can use in preparing our slide. So if we do that and click on icon drop, then we see some of the, so you can see a series of these. You can try icon drop out. So you can see series of the icons that are available here. You can see several of them. So there's a whole lot of these icons. Those are the things that I used to do this. So that's the icon drop. But the other information, just like I promised earlier, is that just like I said, we can get some of these infographics and templates as part of that come in with newer versions of PowerPoint. But we can also get free templates and infographics at these two sites, slidego.com and presentationgo.com, amongst several sites. There are some, here you have thousands of slide templates and infographics that are free. There are some other sites that also sell the templates and infographics, but they are very useful in developing our presentations, and so it will save us doing a lot of the meeting. So all we need to do is we can take an appropriate template or infographic and edit it to suit our presentation. Next thing we'll talk about will be open maps. So sometimes we need to insert maybe a location or a place in our presentation. So we don't need to be going out of PowerPoint to go to Google Earth to get something. So here we can, once we insert open office maps, so we can get a location. So maybe like Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. So we can do something like maybe university. So we can get that. So we can insert that map from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and we can even, or if we can get either the map or the satellite image, so that we can control. So we can insert that. So those are simply. The other thing is open Excel. The other one that it is open Excel. So this one, there are sometimes we may need images or photos to make a case for our presentation. So like we said the other time, we can go to insert under pictures and go to this online pictures. So you have the Bing database, so you can get a lot of pictures there. But you can, if we have this, you can search for here. So for example, like I said, so we can search for, let's say we want to do something on coronavirus. I've done something like that. So we can go and search for this. So we can now look for any appropriate image or photo here. So I just want to show something that is interesting. Okay. Like this now, this will see later something like this. We can make use of this. I've used this image to present something later on. So, but that's, so those are the kind of things we can add in. So this is the one for the office. This is case 2 is office map. This case 3 is Mentimeter. So if we want to, so, because you can do this, like Mentimeter, we can use Mentimeter to be able to actually conduct interactive test quiz or polls for while carrying out a presentation, at least in order to keep our audience attentive. So, but we can actually insert slides from Mentimeter into our PowerPoint. So if we want to do that, we come here. I've already added Mentimeter, so I can come here and go to Mentimeter. So now I will have to now go to my Mentimeter application, and I'll have to go to Mentimeter and pick the link of the particular slide I'm interested in and come and insert it here. So I will go to Mentimeter. Let me be sure that we're sharing this. Okay, so I will come and look at this, for example, this slide. So I'll copy the address, then I'll come back to PowerPoint. Okay, so I can put it there and paste it there. So it will. So if it was in real time, you can actually go to menti.com and enter a result, and as it will be reflected in Mentimeter, it will also be reflected in this PowerPoint. So that's how. So that's also what you can do is when we insert things. But we have a license in Mentimeter application. So those are kind of things we can, those additional functionalities that we can, like I said once again, that if you want to, you go to Office add-ins, and then you can go through the whole range of things you can add in and decide on which functionality you think you need to add to enhance your use of PowerPoint. So that's about the add-in. So the next thing we'll look at will be transitions and animations. So basically, animations and transitions are visual effects to add some sort of dynamism to our presentations and to make them a bit more engaging. So, but generally speaking, both the animations, and we generally just call them animations, but in order to give some sort of context to these two things, we will say animations are visual effects that happen within the slide, while transitions are visual effects that take place between slides. So if I want certain things to happen within a particular slide, then I will use animation. I will use the animation elements or functionality. But if I want something to happen between slides, okay, how one slide transits and the next one appears, I will use transitions. So, but the word of caution here is that we must avoid using animations and transitions just for the sake of it, and whichever one we decide to use, it must match in context and in essence with what we are presenting. So some people can be very good about this. I'm not very sure I'm very good in putting context to the kind of animation, but you will see when we look at one or two of the use cases. So if for people who are very visual and very artistic, you can even decide on better types of animations or transitions to use. So essentially for our animations, so just like we said here, for the basic ones that we have, we see they are classified under entrance, emphasis, exit, and motion path. So and that's what we try to describe here. So but we can show it, we can also show it. So when we go into animation, so when we click on here, we see the classification of those standard ones. So we'll have the entrance, so the entrance, the emphasis, the exit, and the motion part. So we'll also note this, that anytime we see the animations in green, they are actually entrance animations. Any ones we see in gold, they are for emphasis, and the ones that are in red are for exit. And once we have the part that shows green and red, and ends are marked green and red, those are motion. So that's why you can see either lines, arcs, tongues, and rest. So, but what is also worthy of note is that sometimes in order to make a proper case for our animation, so once you start to get full control of the use of animations, you will see that you rather go to those ones that are classified under more animation. So whether more entrance, more emphasis, more exit, like we see here, these ones. So you see more entrance, more emphasis, more exit, more motion. So for the more entrance, more exit, these are their classifications I would think there. So we have basic, we have subtle, we have moderate, and we have exciting. So those are the ones that we'll have. So you can also select from this. So by the time you are more comfortable with the use of the animations, you rather come to these ones more. And a typical example, a typical case for the use of those moments. When for example when you are in those motion parts, so whether it's lines, arc, here is just a line, and this line is showing from down to up only. So but if we go to more motion parts, you see that all these ones, the lines, the arcs, the tones, and the shapes, the loops, they have more effect attributed to them. So for example, you look at the line curves, for example. So you see arc down, arc right, arc left, arc up. Whereas this other one just have arcs, or you have lines. You go from right to left, or from left to right, or from up to down, or down to up. Things like that. So you have more elements attached to those motion parts. So we'll see how some of these are applied when we look at some of the use cases, but those are the kind of animations that we generally use. But one other thing that also is whenever we choose any animation, yeah, if we want to actually have a good control over the animation, because we'll end up coming to realize is how we make use of those animations is more or less like writing a program. So there must be that sequence. So we can put a lot of things on our slide, but how they appear and what they do, we can actually do a flow diagram for it. We want this to happen, then that to happen, then that to happen, then we can arrange. We can use animation to do that. So we'll see if we choose a particular animation, for example. If you choose a particular animation, you can see that you will have a situation where you decide how it starts, whether it's on a click or whether it's with previous or with after previous. So we can decide that, or then we can decide on the duration, how long it will take to do that thing. So this is like 0.5. So we can make it 1 second, 2 seconds, or we can introduce a delay before that animation takes place. Maybe there should be a delay of some time. So we can decide those. We can decide on those. So we'll see more of this when we look at some of the use cases. So for the transitions, this is what happens when you are moving from one slide to another. Mostly we may not have to use this when we are doing presentations in which we control the transition from one slide to another. If I want to prepare a presentation that I want to convert to video, then I can decide to select a transition, and sometimes I can make the transition to be slow, or sometimes I can make it be fast by the time I will assign to that transition. So, but basically we'll see transitions are classified either subtle, exciting, or dynamic, or they have dynamic content. So we'll look at we'll show three use cases. So for this we'll go into slide. So after the three use cases, we'll try to explain just basically how those things are developed. So okay. So is the first is so maybe we'll just quickly describe this. We'll talk briefly about the the other things and just try to show what exactly happened in those instances. But when you look at this, if you just look at the way this slide is, and just this is how you will have ordinarily seen this slide. but just for a moment, once again, just see how it plays. So just look at the sequence of what is exactly happening. Okay, so we can just look at this, and for example, just like I said, here we come to, we show the animation pane, and this is how all this happens. But you look at this, so this is, if you notice, this is the first thing that appears. And so if we look at this, we see that this the animation and use case will appear the first thing, but this one now, this will also, this, so this, the whole of this text is put in a text box. So that's why here we can see rather as text box. But one other thing you also notice is the way as you create those text boxes, it gives them a number. So maybe if it starts with text box 5, for example, that means every other thing will come like that: text box 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what you will immediately notice here is we have a text box 5 after a text box 7. So it's just to point out that we can actually do all of this. We can put all these things at any time, just together as we want, but we can actually come and rearrange them as in the animation pane the way we want them to actually appear. So that's why you can actually you can shift these things. For example, like that, you can shift it like that. So you can always change their position. So just in order for you to eventually get the kind of flow that you want. So like I said, you also notice that all these, like just recall, all the ones in green here are entrance animations. All the ones in red are exit animations. So and then you see, if we look at this, it says this one will appear, this first one will appear after previous. So once it will appear, once the slide appears. So something will happen before this will appear. So we could also have been with previous. So as the slide is transiting, as it is appearing, that will come. But like in this case now, the slide will appear before that one will appear. So something will happen before it appears. So the next one is this. So you're saying this will now, this text box for this open loop system will appear after this thing has appeared. So that's why you have after previous, and then we say it will take 2.5 seconds to appear. But the animation is floating, so it's going to, so you can just see here what's going to happen. It will float, it's floating in, so it will take 2.5 seconds to float in. So that's why you have that it's floating, and it will take 2.5, and there's no delay. So if we want to do, there are some things that we can look at first, so we can, if there are certain things that we want to adjust. So instead of doing it here, we can also just come here and do whatever we want to. You can set those elements here. So you will see it's just like a flow program. So you can easily tell what is happening. So all this one on is when this happens, that this next one will happen, that this next one will happen, that this next one will happen, this next one, and this next one will happen. So all of them, that's how they will all happen. So but once all of this, so you know what's happening, this input signal will appear, this output box, the controller, the actuator, the plant, they will appear. And then all at the same time, that's why they are all happening at the same time. All of them will disappear, and the new set of box, that's the one we now see, is the one that is now going to appear, but at the same time. So just for a moment, you can see. So they will all disappear, and then the new one will appear, and so on. So that's basically to do. So one of the things you will have to think is, what is the story? What kind of story do you want to tell? And so it's depending on how you want your story to be told, is what's going to determine the kind of animation that you carry out. So if we look at this now, let's go to, let me show you how the slide, because this one has been converted to video. So let me show the slide on how this was created. So you recall I said this, I showed you this in the Pexel, so we can get that. So you can do this and go to animation and go to animation pane and show this. So what we also write is, you see, we have this group. We have this group. So if you see that this top comes as a group. It's already, maybe it's like a picture or something, where it comes as a group, but this hand comes as a graphic. So you can see it comes as a graphic. So if I click on it, I can see all the animations that are associated with that hand, and I can see there are 4 animations associated with that. So what this tells us is that for one element we can have multiple animations. So that's why you have this add animation. Once you do the first one, you can continue adding animations, and you decide when they happen. So like if we repeat this, so you can just take a look again. Just look. So as you can see, what happens is, once this stop will appear with previous, as I said, with previous. So, and you can see the previous is this audio, but we'll talk about that. We will talk about this first element later. But we say it appears with previous, and then at the same time it's appearing, the hand will also appear, and the graphic for that one, for this word, is that it will zoom in, while for the graphic will fly in. So that's why if you see this, you see that one zooms in while this one flies in, and all the other ones, this other text box for coronavirus will also fly in, and this this picture too will also fly in. So that's why so after the graphic has appeared, the coronavirus and this picture will also appear, and they'll appear at the same time. But so it's after all these things have appeared that this hand now is going to blink. So that's why you have, so, and as you recall, you said those in golden color are for emphasis. So this is a blink animation, and so we say it's going to blink for each of them will blink for 0.5 seconds, and there will be a delay of 0.25 seconds. So when it blinks, there will be a delay, then the next blink, then the next blink. So we can have multiple blink. So we'll just be doing add animation, another blink, add animation, another blink. So now we go to the next. So that's what's going to happen in the slides and so on. So how you get these things is it's up to your initiative how you do this. For example, now you can see this, that, and so on. So you can see that. But like I said, and we have 3 slides. So but here we have this thing, we have an audio. So how do we insert this audio? How you insert audio? You come to insert and you go to audio. But for audio, it's advisable that whatever audio you want to use in your slide, that you have either you're going to record your audio, you record your voice over, or you already have an audio file that you want to play. So here, I don't know how many people know Koban's Asuko. He's a blind, but I think he was used by United Nations to do that song for the corona, as part of the corona advocacy. So like I said, this has nothing to do with NCDC or anything. This is just trying to show what we can do with PowerPoint. So once we go to insert and go to audio, so we can insert it. So but why you see Y2Mate here is I actually saw the video of the song by Covans of School. So I used this Y2Mate.com to convert it to MP3 and then come and play it there. So now we can go to see, we can see the effect options for this audio. So here we can see the effect. You can see there are options for you to indicate when it starts playing. So whether it will start playing from beginning or from last position or from time. So you can set it. So you can see here we set it to start playing from 0.35 seconds. Cool. So about 35 seconds. To start playing about 35 seconds from where it's starting. Cool. And then we'll say it should stop after, so either on click or after current slide or after a particular number of slides. So that means what this tells you is that we can have different audio playing over different slides. So, but also what to also take note is if we want the same audio to play throughout our slide, it will now mean that probably the audio is the last thing that we'll insert so that we can indicate after the number of slides. But if no matter where it is, we can always bring it to the beginning. No matter where we inserted it, we can always bring it to the beginning because we can shift any of this to an appropriate location so that we can start playing at any appropriate time. So that's how that video was actually developed. So the other one is just to show this one how this how this was developed. But so you will see this is what we are going to see with the slide ordinarily. So we can see this oval, so maybe representing maybe something that symbolizes the airport and the plane. So this is like a flight from Kano to Maiduguri or something, so we can show a plane going. So it's something like if you want to pitch about maybe a new airline and they want to show where their flight routes are going to be. So we can go from, we can say from Kano to Maiduguri, from Kano to Abuja, from Kano to Lagos, like that. So instead of just talking or doing some, we can actually dramatize or simulate or animate those flight routes. So for example, if we're going from, so this oval here will represent maybe Kano Airport, this one at this end will represent Maiduguri Airport. But then you have the plane here and the plane here. But notice the plane at this other end is inverted. We are going to see why, because ordinarily we'll have put it in this same kind of position, but you're going to see why. But just for a moment, again, just look at what is actually happening. See what is happening at the beginning. You just see what is happening. Start from the beginning. Only upward coming. So it's when it reaches Maiduguri that the airport and what will appear. But we get an impression. If you look, you will get an impression that it's the same plane that is turning and going back to Kano. So, but if we look at this, there's already a plane that is stationed at Maiduguri. So what is actually happening? So we can animation and go to and open the animation pane. So we can see all this oval, the oval, yeah, or something. But so the first oval, that's the first thing that will appear to appear or previous. So once the slide appears, that oval should appear, and then picture 3, that's the aeroplane. That's the aeroplane that is appearing there. So it's a picture, so you can get a picture from any of the aeroplane and then insert it, and then we have the flight path. That's this connector. So we have that flight path. So from here to that we have the flight plan, but we should also have the connector. So that's this part. So we can just to give some sort of perspective. But before we do that, you'll notice that as we said, the red is for disappearance. We'll notice that once it gets to this point, we see this picture 3 will disappear. It's disappearing, but at the same time it's disappearing. Picture 22, notice that this other plane will appear. Yeah. So this plane, that plane that leaves Kano to, once it reaches, it disappears. And so this plane that is in that inverted position is now going to appear. So that airport will also have that second oval, this oval here will appear. And then that aeroplane that is already here is now going to spin. So that's why this one you see is a spin emphasis animation is going to spin. So we can look at the effect options for spin. So first, before we talk of how much it's going to spin, anytime you have any of these effect options that has the smooth start, smooth end, and bounce end, please normalize them to 0. Sometimes you see as default they will not be at 0. Please normalize them for 0 so that you have a smooth start and a smooth end. So, but here we see the spin. These are the options for spin. It has quarter spin, half spin, full spin, and twice 2 spins. So and then you can put a custom spin. So you can decide whether you want it to go. So like, full spin is going to be 360 degrees. So if you do half spin, it's going to be 180. So that's why they have spin. So if you look at just this one, just this, you see what it does. So it's spinning, and then to go back to along that path, to go back to this one, you can make this. So if we want to, we can just show a little example of what's happening. So we can do this. Yeah. So let me just introduce something that may be of interest to some of us. I think we'll see it later on. If I want to reproduce this same oval shape, and and align it with this same one. So what I will do is I can press, I should press and hold my control and shift key and then drag this thing and drag at the mouse, so you can have two, so they will be aligned, so you don't need to be looking whether they are in the same line or something. So if you do that, I can now go and look for a plane to insert. So if I like, I can either go to that pixel something and insert, or I can go to insert under pictures, go to online pictures and look for an aeroplane. So I can search for aeroplane. So I can reduce this to size so that I can fit it into that oval. So I can also create the path. So I can enhance the path. I can come to format shape just to enhance the path. So here I can put like 20 points. Here I can put this. Okay. So now I can, because I want this plane to move. I want the plane to move along this path. So this is a motion path. So I can go on the animation and go to motion path. So I want it to go from left to right. So I will click on this. So, but you see, this is where it stopped. Yeah, this is where it stopped. So if I want, I can extend. I don't know why I'm having problem with my mouse. I don't know why I don't know what seems to be the problem with my mouse, but we can actually extend. So maybe just But so like this one now, we can just at this point, because this is what has been introduced, so we can play. Yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry. I think maybe I can see what the problem is. Okay, just do it. So I'll do this and just animate from there. Let's see. Okay, let me see this. I need to bring this to the front. Okay, so let me see again what happens from here. Okay, so I should be able to extend this line up to here. I don't know what's doing my mouse. So, but that's what you can do here. So you can actually extend this. I don't know. I think I need a mouse to do this. I don't know why I don't know what's happening to my mouse. So, but that's how we do that, to create the path to extend this path to there, so that the plane will fly along that path. So if you see, if the spin, if it's supposed to spin, maybe go from Maiduguri to Adamawa, then you know when it spins, it shouldn't do full spin. Maybe it will do maybe like 45 degrees, yeah, or something like that. So in the spin, we can put 45 degrees, so it spin and come this way, and then we create the path for it to flow that way. So, but I think what is very important here is, depending on what kind of story we want to present, we'll be able to tell how what type of animation we use and in what sequence we want those elements of our presentation to the flow, in order to be able to convey the story we want to convey. So the first thing we said is how we're going to create a quiz and show how we can link elements from one slide to another. So normally the first thing we're going to do is to create the question. So we create the question in a text box. So normally we create the question in text box. So we can put the question and then put the answers there, and then we create these shapes here and put the options, so whether it's 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C, D, or I, or Roman numerals. So, and then we can, just like you said, we can give effect to this. So we can use oval or whatever shapes that we want to use to put our options inside. So we just put the text box and put the there. So we have our question, and then we have the options. Then we already know which of the options is correct. So the next thing, so this is how the question will normally appear. So we can say revision questions on PowerPoint. So this is the presentation right here. And so what is a motion pass in PowerPoint? So we'll look at the, so this is how that slide will have appeared if we are doing the presentation. So we can put this question and maybe ask a student to, maybe a particular student, which one is the correct answer. So he can tell us which option he thinks it is, and then we click on the option and see whether the answer is correct or not. So this is how the question will have appeared in our slide. So the next thing is to create the right answer slide and the wrong answer slide. So it depends on how you want to represent this thing. So whether this is going to be the correct. So this is an example of how our correct answer slide can be and how our wrong answer slide can be. So it will be like this. So if the person chooses this, the slide that will appear, chooses the wrong, that's the slide that will appear. So we can that's what. So we can try something just to so we can just to into context. So the next thing now, after creating this, we have created the question slide and we've created the answer slide, whether wrong answer or correct answer. So the next thing is to link each of the options to the correct answer slide or the wrong answer slide. So we can highlight on, for example, highlight on A and then try to link it to either the correct answer or the wrong answer slide. So I will just use something to show how we can do that. So for example, if we on the wrong answer slide, we can come here and insert a text box. So it's the same thing we'll have done if we are choosing an option. So I can create a text box and then say, if you try again, we can put this text box there and say, try again, for example. So if the person chooses that option and the option is not, if that is not the correct option, you should be given the opportunity to try again. So you can just beautify this. You just to some context, so you can modify that. You can do that. You can actually maybe even use a different color. For example, this. So we have added this. So I can now try. So I can highlight this and go to insert, then go to links, and then when it will open this for me, so I'll click on place in this document. So I want to link it to something in this particular PowerPoint presentation. So that means you can also link it to something somewhere. So here we have, this is the preview, the slide preview. So we'll know which. So this is very important because we can see which slide. So we want to link that to the slide that actually has the questions. So if any slide we choose, you can, at least this slide preview can enable us know that is the correct slide we want to link. So we can click OK. So that means now we have linked this. So if we go back to the question slide, if we go back to so this is the question slide. So you choose this, and so I can choose. But recall, we say C is the correct answer right from the beginning. That we know C is correct. So I can go to, if I'm in slide show. So if I choose A, that way to tell me it's wrong answer. So I'll click on try again to take me. So I choose C, I choose D, it says wrong, try again. So if I choose C, it will say correct answer. So that's how I can do it. But like I said, what is also very important here is you can see that our ability to be able to make these elements and be able to see how we can link elements in one slide with another slide or with even another document, because this could maybe we can click on something and it links us to maybe a site or to another information on another document that is in our system or is on the internet or things like that. So these are the kind of things that we can away from this issue of of how of the thing that we can take away from this information of how to create quiz. So one of the things that maybe we'll try to think about is, for example, here once you get a wrong answer, it will say try again. So maybe I think one of the things that we can look at is how can we say after maybe the second attempt, it should just maybe tell you that the correct answer is this. So maybe if you try the second time, it should tell you wrong answer, the correct answer is C. So that means you have a maximum of only 2 attempts before it marks you wrong and tells you the correct answer. So those are the kind of things that we can think about too. And those I'm sure it's possible to be able to do that in PowerPoint. So I think this is basically some of the information that I thought we can additionally add to what we did the last time to enhance our ability to use PowerPoint and to enhance our presentations and our presentation abilities. So I'd like to thank you, and if there's anybody that has some contributions, you can ask your questions or make your contributions before we call it a day.